days.
Oh, that's good to me. Anybody?
Well,
First, start us off, Harry.
I'll start us off. First practice in a while. Like, is that beneficial to? Obviously, you guys have a bunch of guys getting back from injuries still. How beneficial was that?
Really beneficial. I know for many reasons. Obviously, losing 3 games in a row and having the slippage that we've had as of late, going into these last 2 games before the break, trying to work some guys that have been out from injury back into seeing if they're ready to play. It's the first time we've done some live basketball in quite a long time. So, we talked about before practice, we watched film, just how the defense the last 3 games is nowhere to be found. And that's on everybody. So we have to be much better starting tomorrow night against Miami and then coming out of the break with 25 games to go. And let's get back to defending at the level we were the first 2 months of the season. And when we were doing that, we were a top 5 defense. And we slipped all the way down to 15 in defensive efficiency. So there was definitely cause for concern. But, guys had a good practice today, a lot of good energy, and it was good to see them play live and compete.
What's the priority defensively?
When you're giving up 125 a night in these last 3 games, it's everything. Starts in transition. We don't get back with any sense of urgency. We don't talk. Our lack of communication is comical at times. How hard is it to say switch, screen? But we don't do that for some reason. So it starts there, but the 3-point defense is really the most alarming for me. Not just the percentage we're giving up, but as of late, we're giving up 15 threes a game, made threes. And earlier in the year, first couple of months, we were top 3, top 5 in 3-point defense. And that number is quickly going in the wrong direction. So, yes, transition, catch and shoot, pick and roll, but just the awareness, the urgency, the energy, the physicality, those are all areas that we have fallen off the wayside in. But 3-point defense is probably the most alarming one for me.
Why do you think the 3-point line has become so much more open in these last couple games, especially? Is it guys rotating further over? You talk about multiple efforts being the reasoning that you were out there early in the season, but why aren't those there now?
Yeah, I would say, and we talked a lot about it as a staff this morning, because I'm looking at the numbers during this 3-game losing streak, and they're alarming. Now, I know it's just 3 games, but we can't allow 3 games to become 5 games. So yeah, I think part of it's definitely the multiple effort, the energy. I think a part of it is the communication or lack thereof. But I also think in pick and rolls, teams don't feel us. Earlier in the year, we were into the ball. Our bigs were up. We had a presence. Right now, our bigs are being lazy. They're down the floor. Our smalls are being soft. They're not into the ball. And so if I'm an opposing point guard and I can play pick and roll and no one's going to put a body on me, I'm really comfortable. And I can make pinpoint passes wherever I want. So I think we have to get back to being a team that is disruptive, being more forceful, being up at the level, and all good defensive players and all good defensive teams make other teams feel them. And we have done a poor job of that as late, and we touched on that today, and hopefully we can see some improvements tomorrow.
Coach, how do you explain your fourth quarter defense? Why are you so much more physical, so much more intense in the fourth?
That came up this morning when we met as a team. Mason brought that point up. I don't know if we wait for the fourth quarter, Vic, to have a sense of urgency. Okay, this is the fourth quarter. This is going to decide the game. We got to, we're all in. But even as of late, our fourth quarter defense has not been great. On the season, it's been terrific. But the other night in Philly, we give up 34 points. I think they shoot 75%, 9 of 12 from the field, and they go to the foul line 16 times. So. I definitely think you guys know me, I'm not a guy that makes excuses. But the reality is we have a really banged up team. And the guys that are able to play right now, I think those guys, I'd love to know how many of our players have played a career high minutes in the NBA this season as of right now with 27 games to go. So fatigue is, I think, starting to show its ugly head, but we can't use that as an excuse. It is what it is. We put ourselves in a great position, so hopefully we can go into the break with 2 quality wins against Miami, against SAC, get some rest, and then come out of it and ready for that stretch run.
With Gary, he's had so many just lingering injuries throughout the past month or 2. Do you think it would be prudent, or have you guys considered maybe shutting him down through the All-Star break?
Yeah, I think no one has said he is out until after All-Star break. But I'd be, in my mind, I'm thinking that is probably the most prudent decision to make. Hey, let's rush him back from Miami And then he's been in and out. Gary Harris has had a very un-Gary Harris-like season because of the injuries. So because you're in and you're out, there's no consistency. And he'll play really well one game, and then there'll be an injury, there'll be a strain, there'll be whatever it is. So he looked good today in parts of practice. It's good to see him on the floor. But once again, I think with all of our players, we're taking a big picture, long-term approach, hoping that not only do we have these 2 games and 25 after the break, but hopefully we have some postseason games as well. And having Gary healthy would be very beneficial for us.
I know it's clouded a bit by the losing streak, but can you take me back to the Minnesota locker room after the game and just that moment, what it meant to you to get selected to that game, but also the way the team responded and reacted, knowing that you were going to coach the AllStar game?
Yeah, if I could do it over again, I would hope that I don't want it, because maybe we don't have a hangover from that and lose 3 games in a row. But that moment, Adam, for me was obviously it was a special moment, one that I always remember. For the players to kind of give myself and our coaching staff that reaction after a hard fought. That's all I cared about, was beating a division opponent on the road, second night of a very tough back-to-back. That's all I cared about. That was my whole focus. If it worked out where we're going to the AllStar game, great. If not, I have some great plans. But it speaks to our culture, our locker room, and how connected we are. And that meant a lot to me, and for all the players to, kind of give you that celebration after the game was special.
Hey, Coach, teams have dips in the season. You're going to lose 3 straight every now and then. But for days like this when you have to practice, how important is it to nip some of the things in the bud so they don't become an issue down the road that you're working on?
Yeah, practice time is so vital this time of the year. I mean, so to have a day off yesterday and come in and practice today, watch film, talk about the things that are giving us the most trouble, why they're giving us the most trouble, and more importantly, what we have to do to fix it. So to talk about it and watch it, and then to come on the court and have some positive energy, to work on the things that are giving us that trouble, and then to compete, to get after each other. That to me was refreshing. It's been a long time since we have played live basketball in a practice. So to allow our guys to play competitive 5-on-5 was great today, and I think the players have missed it. The reason we haven't done it is just because we don't have healthy bodies. And I'm sitting there as we're doing it today saying my prayers, because I don't need Nicole or Jamal tweaking an ankle or a knee. That's the last thing this team needs. So it's a fine line of getting your work in, but also being smart enough to make sure you're not putting your players in a position where you could be even in further jeopardy of missing games with injuries. So today was definitely a positive day for us.
Did Gary, Isaiah, or Paul go through that 5-on-5 section that you were talking about?
Isaiah a little bit. Paul Millsap. Paul might have gotten a rep or 2 in, but very, very limited, and Gary did not.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, everybody.